Well, I'm kind of hoping this is actually a good video. Why you say that? Well, last night recorded good half hour, and I was a little curious when I imported the file to computer, make the file smaller. It was not reading the actual length of the original post. So, fiddle around. I got where I wanted to, where I wanted it again. So now, probably a little bit of exposure. I can always fix that later. The only reason why the settings were fucked up, because I had to take photos, because I ordered something online, I had to take pictures, I had to get sent in, be looked at, yeah, okay. So, that was last week. And of course, this camera's, I admit, a little bit more than a point and shoot deal. So, last night I actually sat down, fiddled with it, got it hopefully where I got it. Now, we can get on with the fucking show. Me cussing like that. Keep cussing up that, I'd be on the highway to hell. Highway to hell. Bam, 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 bam. Highway to hell. No stop loud. Do, do, do. Can you believe? So, the ex-girlfriend still is, daughter of a Baptist preacher. The one weekend I meet the parents, he goes on the sermon of songs from the Bible. He brings up this, back in my day, there was a song by AC/DC called Highway to Hell, about the enjoyment of going to hell. I was like, I'm sitting there in the pew. It's like, bro, no, it's not. Bon Scott, it's not singing about how awesome it is going about being in hell, even though, let's face it, being a devil's minion is probably really, really fun. So I'm saying there, this stewing is like, really? The first time you're going to meet me, you're going to bash one of my favorite bands? You're screwing. This is a joke, yeah? It's kind of one of the reasons why. Kind of one of the reasons why, I didn't. I was like, boy, if Dad is a real stick in the mud with this shit, I don't think this is gonna work. And actually, that and she was really pushing me into, I want to get engaged. I was like, baby, come on. I want to do a nice long out. It's like, yeah. And a few other things too. I think she was just totally entrapped me, kind of like honeypotting, entrapped me. She was a love bomber, I tell you what. Also lived up to the stereotype of, a religious daughters are very dirty. God forbid you actually break that stereotype. Speaking of the ex, she actually is getting engaged. Good for her. And got engaged in less than 8 months. 8 months of dating, you're engaged. That's a little too soon. Oh well, not my problem. Watch the live stream of the service, and because all the churches have service, and because he goes, and our prayers answer section today. We finally do it, my little girl. She wasn't meant to be here, but she is, and now finally she's getting married. I would want to marry them off next week, but they decide a nice spring wedding. That was another thing using. Not funny. God's not funny. So when after we had a nice meat lunch, he gets up from the table and goes, "Well, we don't have a Zales here." I was like, "What the fuck does that mean?" To be honest with you, maybe they're also really trying to push her out the door, onto somebody else. That's actually the collective vibe I got around the family. So, yeah, well, good for here. The one thing, she wore a lot of perfume. I don't like really the smell of heavy perfume. I don't like heavy cologne on the smell of that. Ugh. Actually, there is a reason why she was wearing heavy perfume. I'm not going to say it, but like guys think that actually helps. No. What did George Carlin say? You smell like a French whore. I mean, the guy rolls around in cologne like that. They actually think women are going to put out right there on the spot. No, you smell like a freaking whore. Ugh. It's worse when you're working somebody is just pretty much bathed in that. Does your shower not work? Like literally, I would in the mornings put a cologne, not cologne, but the Orion, maybe a little spray across the chest. A little bit of that. I need. No. That's like such a step back. Stand back. If you get a chance, look at Vince McMahon Stand Back. Stand back. That was this little song before he gets the song of No Chance in Hell, you got no chance in hell. Yeah. So, I guess in New York there's a thing called the Kennedy Awards ceremony, and Donald Trump is like the MC or something like that. And very unique choices this year. George Strait, country icon. I can't really think of songs, but if it would be like, oh, this is George Strait, of course it is. I know that. New York's own Sly Stallone, the man who brought you such great movies as Stop or My Mom Will Shoot or The Specialty. By the way, I love a Sylvester Stallone movie. It could be Rhinestone. I would watch Rhinestone, but The Specialists, God, that was an awful movie. I mean, it was a dog. Just a dog. A dirty dog. You know, and oh yeah, I forgot. I'm going to have to really fix this white balance when I get done here. I guess Donald Trump won the best. Now you got the best. Hottest band in the world. In New Yorker's own Kiss. Gene, Paul, Ace, and Peter. The original. That's the deal. Ace, Peter, Paul, and Gene. No other substitution, no other lookalikes. The original 4 Kiss members. Although I would probably have thrown Eric Carr in, but unfortunately he's not with us anymore. But it is an honor. You get honored by the President of the United States. And people are freaking out over it. Ugh, why? Ugh, Kiss. Ugh. I love Kiss. I love Kiss. I love Creatures of the Night was really the peak, even though they had really bad albums before. But look it up, maybe. But that about mid 1980s perfected Kiss. And everybody's flipping their wigs. You know, get it? Wigs. Alright, I guess not. Because Kiss wigs are really big. Anyways, but it's such cool that this awesome band like Kiss is getting honored like that. Yeah, I mean, that has to be really cool. All the platinum records, all the chicks, all the money, tours around the world from humble beginnings of in downtown New York to Tokyo, Forum, Cobo Hall, and Detroit. You know, Kiss is a worldwide, not only brand, just a name. You know, rock and roll all night and pirate every day. You know, this influenced so many bands from the 80s, 90s, and probably now. That's really awesome, and it's 2025 and people just got shit on it. You know, ugh, I don't like Kiss anymore. Fuck you. How about I call Dr. Love and he will go War Machine on you. By the way, one of my favorite songs. War Machine, every time I put it on, it goes, I just want to yell, "Here comes the human suplex machine, Taz!" From, wrestling. So, congratulations to Kiss. By the way, Kiss no longer owns all their music, so Gene and Paul really got off with a lot of money. They sold their rights like at the beginning of the year, like the last concert. They were like, "Thank you, everybody," and we don't longer do this. I think they're like almost 80, anyways. Yeah, and we'll round it up with one more music note for today. Hopefully, don't have to do this again. One of my favorite bands. Never really got to see, but it is their last ride. Megadeth, Dave Mustaine's band, or yeah, pretty much Dave Mustaine's band. You know, it's Dave Mustaine and people around him, and just makes up Megadeth. This announced last week. It's one more album, one more tour, and Dave Mustaine is allegedly retiring. No more making no more records, no more touring, no more anything. Dave is 61 years old. He actually watched the Behind the Music last night, and it's not the one I originally watched back in the early 2000s, but it's the expanded one, which okay, but I would love the 40-minute version. Anyways, yeah, I kind of forget some things in it, but to get a quick cliff notes of Megadeth for those who not into that kind of heavy metal. You know, Dave Mustaine was guitarist in Metallica back in the day before the first album. They started in Los Angeles, moved up to San Francisco, and went to New York. And Dave was an alcoholic and a loved his substances, and a lot of fights in those first Metallica album era, and Lars and James were, it was like, dude, we gotta get rid of Dave. So, one morning, early morning, 8 a.m., probably whatever, to wake him up, say, pack your shit, or we're taking you to Grand Central Station, putting you on the bus back to Los Angeles. And for 5 days cross country, Dave wrote notes, which would later be on early Megadeth songs. He came out with the name Megadeth for in a newspaper from Senator Krantz or something. Said it, some old senator said it in a news article. So basically, Dave formed a band, Louder, Faster, and Heavier, to get revenge. Some people like the better Metallica. I like it as equal. Love them both. Then, they all both were, like race cars, going, trading first place and second place, and eventually, 1992 or 91, Megadeth released their fifth CD and went to number one. Or this went to number one. He debuted like number 2, something like that. It was like the high point of Dave Mustaine's music career. Then Metallica's self-titled fifth album, or Black Album, released like a month later, went number 1. And Dave was like, that's it, I'm done. And, long story short, they all made up, so. But, listen to the audio tape of Dave's audiobook, and kind of drove home the idea of it really doesn't matter how good you are, there's always somebody better. I know that's not always the case in life. However, it's kind of true in a way, you can make a great a great dinner, but somebody's going to have be slightly better than you. So, of course, when Metallica cut their hair, Dave didn't cut his hair in the late 90s. And of course, by the late 90s, hair metal was out. Grunge was sort of on the way out. New metal was around, but one thing, Dave Mustaine never cut his hair. And it's one thing seeing a 60-year-old man now with long hair. It's like, Metallica did the right thing and sort of trimmed their hair. So, who knows what's going to happen? It would be nice. It would be really cool if it'd be like Dave Mustaine and Metallica do a show, like a one-off. Probably won't happen, but who knows? I know I talked a lot. Not bad for a second take. Yeah, I really have nothing else to say or want to say until I see you next time. Not only play something pretty for Stella, but make it loud, hard, and fast. Yeah.